Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about MoviePass. All right, so let's talk about MoviePass. And the reason, well, let's talk about why I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons in context to MoviePass. So I have this incredibly ambitious and in some ways quixotic hope for Dungeons and Dragons. I want Dungeons and Dragons. I want the world to abandon the idea that Dungeons and Dragons is a game and that its purpose is fun. What I want Dungeons and Dragons specifically to function as a life modeling engine, right? Specifically to bring learning, growth, improvement, and transformation to people who have been completely failed by the self-improvement book industry, right? Like, hey, how do I fix myself, right? And also I want to break this idea that if we really want to be better people, right now the structure for that is people are like, oh, I better go to Barnes and Noble and buy a self-help book and fix myself, right? And I'm like, no, we need to abandon this fix myself idea, right? We need to abandon this self-improvement book industry model of let's identify my problem and then let me read a bunch of books and do the work, right? Rather than saying, hey, we're not broken. We all simply want to be better, and we want to go on that self-improvement journey. We want to go on a learning journey. We want to go on a transformation journey forever, right? Like for the rest of our lives at a rate that is economically sustainable and with a method that's sound, right? And I truly believe the most powerful secular tool in the world to improve a human being is Dungeons and Dragons. So I want this, and I'm very aware this is a quixotic hope, but I'm getting more and more excited recently because what I think is what is giving Dungeons and Dragons a better chance of being this is that the world is cracking apart, right? And all the old industries that people went to fix themselves are fundamentally failing, right? They're for wealthy people, they're for highly literate people, they're for people who are like, they're just not for regular people, right? Whereas Dungeons and Dragons is very economically feasible for everyone, right? Everybody can afford $180 for, 3 books that will tell an unlimited number of narratives, and those narratives are a journey of self-improvement, right? So it's I understand it's incredibly quixotic, I understand it's incredibly unusual, right? But I really believe that we can get there. I believe powerfully that we can really arrive at this space, right? Why do I believe this? Well, the world is turning upside down, and MoviePass brings incredible hope. So one of the things that's happening today is you give a pile of data to 2 people, and one person says, oh, like, you give the pile of data for MoviePass to one person, and they just did this on Netflix. They did a docuseries on Netflix about a documentary on Netflix about MoviePass, right? And I did not watch that. I watched Dan Morell's explanation of that documentary, and Dan Morell is a fantastic movie reviewer who specializes in movie box office charts, which is a lot more compelling and engaging than that sounds. But he's a great creator. I watch his stuff here on YouTube. You can watch his stuff here on YouTube. He's fantastic. He really is phenomenal, right? And he did a great breakdown of MoviePass, and he explained that when MoviePass came out, he used a terrible term. I really think this term should be abandoned, but I'm going to say his words because I'm saying what he said, right? I'm sorry. He said that this was insane. I I think that's a terrible way to term things. I think it's incredibly offensive to people who struggle with mental health issues, and I think it's a word that should be retired, right? But I want you to have a scope of what people are still saying about MoviePass. They were saying it was insane, right? And the reason they were saying that was MoviePass's business model was extremely difficult to understand, right? So what was MoviePass's business model? $9.95 a month, right? You go see one movie a day. You can go all week, right? And MoviePass was, and people were like, wait, hold on. You're not working with the studios. You're not working with any of the movie chains, right? So how could this be profitable? And this guy, Mitch Lowe, who was the MoviePass promoter, he was like, and he was their champion. That's a better way to say it. He was like, hey, what's going to happen is we're going to get to scale and we're going to be able to bring so many people to the movies, which right now the chains are having a hard time getting people moved to go to the movies, that they'll cut us in on their concessions and on their box and on their take at the ticket booth, right? And everybody's like, well, but AMC said they won't do that, right? And he's like, we're going to make this work. So now, what was Mitch Lowe? He is bog standard. He's a tech disruptor, right? Which at this point is bog standard. There's nothing new or fresh about a tech disruptor. Airbnb, Uber, right? Like tech disruption happens all the time, right? Bird electric scooters, right? And these guys, they go into places and they get, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts, right? Like straight out of Michael Keaton, right? Like they do a lot of stuff to disrupt, right? So to me, I just really see Mitch Lowe as a test. He was just another tech disruptor, right? Now, what's interesting is people were like, this can't work. And he's like, it can work. Now, what I'm really excited about is it did work. That's the issue, right? People think MoviePass failed. It did not fail, right? All of this depends on how you're measured, right? So MoviePass failed as a company, but it completely changed the movie industry, right? So how did that happen, right? Well, I go to movies, literally, I can go to the movies twice a day. I've done it every day, right? And I do that with the Regal Pass. Also, AMC, now who said they would never work with MoviePass, has their own MoviePass. They have their own pass where you can go every single day. Literally the same model that MoviePass innovated, right? And I do the same thing through my Regal Pass, right? So MoviePass failed to make money, went bankrupt actually went out of business as a company, right? But they completely disrupted the space and completely delivered what they were trying to deliver to customers to begin with. They just did it under a different name. They did it under every movie chain. Every single major movie chain adopted their model. And you can go to the movies right now, today, on exactly the model that they built, right? And frankly, I would never be able to see the amount of movies that I see today at current prices, right? So I owe a debt to MoviePass, right? So that's the entire point, right? MoviePass succeeded if you understand that the goal was never to make money. And I get it. People are like, oh no, companies have to make money. No, you say that. That doesn't make sense, right? Like that no longer makes sense in the world we live in. Disruption absolutely can be the goal of a company. Was that the goal of MoviePass? In my humble opinion, MoviePass was really more about disruption than it was making money, right? And this is exactly the kind of thinking that is needed to land Dungeons & Dragons where I need it to land, where it is a human improvement engine, not a beer and pretzels goblin chop toy. We need to transform, right? MoviePass utterly transformed the movie industry, right? It failed as a company to make money. It succeeded as a company in completely disrupting the space and making the mass consumer experience 10 times better, 100 times better than it could ever be under the old model, right? So it's how you measure, and it's also what you believe is capable of happening. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking, subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.